built a powerful parlay with 11 odds. Let's break it down. First event, Bournemouth versus Manchester City, and honestly, I think a lot of people are massively overrating the current form of the hosts while underestimating just how uncomfortable Bournemouth are for basically every team in the league except Manchester City. Because if you look at Bournemouth separately, their season has genuinely been incredible. Their unbeaten streak has reached ridiculous levels. Iraola's team plays brave, aggressive football, presses constantly, and absolutely deserves to fight for European spots. But there is one problem. Against City, for some reason, none of that almost ever works. 18 defeats in the last 19 head-to-head meetings is no longer just a statistics. It's basically a psychological barrier at this point. And even in seasons where Bournemouth looked good and City was struggling, the result usually stayed exactly the same. And honestly, I still don't think the citizens allow themselves to drop points here. Yeah, the title race is almost gone because Arsenal simply refused to make mistakes. But while there is still mathematical chances, Guardiola's team will keep pushing at full intensity, especially after winning the FA Cup, because trophies like that often give teams a massive emotional boost at the end of the season. Plus, City right now look extremely strong structurally. They are no longer playing chaotic end-to-end football every week. Instead, they become far more pragmatic. And that fits perfectly for a lower total type of bet, because people automatically accept another crazy goal fest here out of habit, but away from home this current City side really isn't built around that anymore. In 14 of their last 18 away matches, the total stayed under 4.5 goals, and that's a very telling number. Guardiola now focused much more on control and risk minimization, especially against teams that love open football, and Bournemouth are exactly that kind of opponent. Guys, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I post match analysis every single day and always try to keep my subscribers in pro. I also genuinely appreciate reasonable criticism and well-ordered picks in the comments. I always read them. Guys, here's my Telegram and my stats. I work as transparently and honestly as possible. I even pay taxes as an individual entrepreneur. I am one of the few in this space who actually works openly and fairly. The link is in the description below. The Cherries almost always try to attack at home, leave space behind and play proactively at least in certain stretches of the match. But against City, that can easily work against them. Because once the visitors take control of possession and score first, they simply start suffocating opponents' positioning. At the same time, I'm not expecting some complete destruction. Yeah, City historically dominated this matchup, but the current Bournemouth side is still very organized and rarely collapses entirely, especially at home. I simply don't see Manchester City losing this match, but I also don't really buy into the idea of 5 or 6 goals here. Feel much more like or 0-2, 1-2 or maybe 1-3 kind of game at most. City are too solid defensively right now to allow total chaos. 7 clean sheets in their last 10 matches says a lot already. But Bournemouth probably will not spend the entire match sitting deep either, so they can absolutely create one good moment at home, especially in the second half, where Iraola's side usually improves. Still, overall the class, experience and psychological edge are clearly on the visitor side. So for the parlay, I'm taking under 4 goals total. And for the crazy parlay, I'm going with Manchester City to win, plus under 5.5 goals at odds of 2. Second event, Genk versus Antwerp. And honestly, I really don't understand why some people are expecting a competitive battle from the visitors here. Because at the end of the season, Antwerp look like a team that's simply playing out the schedule, without motivation or emotion. 3 straight defeats, 0 goals scored and 9 conceded. That's no longer just a small slump, it's a full-blown football crisis. And the worst thing for Antwerp fans isn't even the defeats themselves, but how helpless the team looks offensively. Antwerp have basically stopped creating pressure. There is no aggression, no confidence, and most importantly, no real objective left in the table. They are not making Europe anymore, and once a season is effectively over, it becomes incredibly difficult to suddenly switch back into maximum intensity against a team that desperately needs points. Meanwhile, Genk's motivation is enormous. Yeah, they also dropped a few important points recently, but the hosts are still fully alive in the title race. And that matters a lot. Matches like this at home are usually played with maximum concentration, especially when you know there is basically no room for error left. Plus, even despite a small dip in form, Genk still look much more alive overall. At least they continue picking up points instead of collapsing every week like Antwerp currently are. And what I really like here is how perfectly the betting scenario fits the game itself, because I'm absolutely not expecting some wild open football match. Genk simply need to take care of business calmly, especially because Antwerp right now are so poor offensively that they could easily finish another game without scoring. 3 straight matches without a goal already point to structural problems. Meanwhile, Genk kept clean sheets in both of their last 2 games and currently look quite reliable defensively. So the scenario here feels pretty straightforward. The hosts take initiative, control the match, and gradually break down an opponent that's currently a very weak psychological state. At the same time, I don't think this turns into some ultra-high scoring game. Genk are not the type of team that will chase a huge scoreline purely for entertainment. Right now, the only thing that matters is securing 3 points and maintaining pressure of their title rivals. And Antwerp, in their current condition, probably can't force a chaotic shootout anyway. That's why the under looks very logical here. I see something like 2-0 or maybe 3-0, far more than some crazy goal explosion, especially if the hosts score early and simply manage the result afterward. So for the parlay, I am taking Genk double chance plus under 4.5 goals, because it's very hard to imagine them losing at home against such a broken opponent in a game with lots of goals. And for the crazy parlay, I'm going with Genk to win plus under 3.5 goals at 2.3 odds. I also broke down one more event as a single bet, but honestly you can easily add it into the parlay too. Westerlo versus Standard League, and here I genuinely think the bookmakers placed the emphasis in a very strange way, because I really don't see such a huge advantage for the hosts. Yeah, Westerlo are at home and still fighting for first place, but if you look purely at the quality of football lately, Standard currently look much more stable and mature. The hosts have massive defensive problems, and it's impossible to ignore anymore. 10 goals conceded in the last 4 matches is catastrophic for a team chasing the top spot. And the issue isn't just the numbers themselves. Westerlo allow opponents to create chances way too easily. They open up, commit lots of players forward, but once possession is lost, the defensive structure completely falls apart. And against the current version of Standard, they could become decisive, because the visitors have been exploiting opponents' mistakes extremely well at the end of the season. They are unbeaten in 7 consecutive away matches and actually won 5 of them. That's a huge indicator for this stage of the campaign, especially compared to Westerlo, who've started dropping points regularly at home. And what I really like is how much more disciplined Standard had become defensively. In 2 of their last 3 matches, they even kept clean sheets, and you can clearly see the squad understands the importance of every point in the title race. But at the same time, they don't park the bus. They still remain dangerous going forward, especially against open teams. And Westerlo are exactly that type of opponent. Honestly, all the ingredients are here for a pretty entertaining game. The hosts need a win, the visitors know they can strengthen their position at the top, so neither side is likely to sit back. And the stats support it too. In 4 of Westerlo's last 5 home matches, over 2.5 goals landed, while 3 of Standard's last 4 away games also had at least 3 goals. So both teams naturally play in fairly high-scoring matches right now. But in terms of overall football quality, I simply like Standard more. There is less chaos in their game, Westerlo are too unstable, especially defensively, and in matches like this, that can become extremely costly. Especially because the pressure on the host will be enormous since they absolutely must win at full, while Standard can stay calmer and punish mistakes. So first of all, I expect a goal from the visitor's kill. Considering how Westerlo defends, Standard will definitely get chances. And honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if they score at least twice. But for the parlay, I'll take the safer option. Standard lead to score. And for the risky simple, I'm going with Standard draw no bet at 2.6 odds.